Hello everyone, welcome to Sunya IAS. Now this is your worksheet lecture number 9 of ongoing crash course for modern Indian history 2023. Now, in this worksheet we are specifically going to focus on the topics which happened the mass struggle between 1927 and 1939. So that is right from the coming of Simon Commission, okay, to the Nehru Committee report, subsequently the Pune Swaraj Declaration by Congress session in 1929, and then civil disobedience movement. Then the third, all three roundtable conference, the Lothian Committee recommendation, the Pune Pact, the Government of India Act 1935, and its impact in the form of elections of initially the elections of 1934, which happened in line with Government of India Act 1919, and government elections which has state provincial elections which happened in 1937. So all those things were discussed in this lecture only. Okay, if you haven't watched the lecture yet, please make sure that you go and watch the lecture. Now let's go through some of the questions from these topics. So the very first question asks you, which of the following was not a recommendation of the Nehru report? It rejected the formation of linguistic states. No, this is absurd. Congress, firstly in 1921 itself has declared that linguistic state is their something which they are interested in, and the moment they will come in power, they will take steps to make states on the basis of linguistic differences. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to understand. Then you need to understand after that that based on this in 1928-29, when Nehru report recommendation was getting framed and then brought into public limelight, linguistic provinces was a key agenda. Although after the independence, the Congress found it very difficult to found linguistic differences, and you will see both the Dhar Committee recommendation and JVP Commission recommendation, both were in favor of that provinces should be made on administrative basis. But anyway, the first statement is wrong here. The demanded fundamental rights of equal rights for women and rights to form union. This statement is right. It rejected the provisions of separate electorates. This statement is right. This is actually the main issue, in a sense that if you focus on the Jinnah's first Delhi proposal and the 4 point of Delhi proposal, so Muslim League was letting go of separate electorate with the expectation of getting reservation in Bengal and Punjab, where the Muslims were in majority, in the weightage issue of their presence. But that was actually the whole crisis. So they rejected the provisions of separate electorate. This statement is also right. And it demanded complete dissociation of state from religion. That is a proper secular state. So that statement was also right. So the only statement which is wrong here is the statement number 1. So the answer here will be A. Okay. Let's move to the next question. What were the differences between non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement? Now, this is a very tricky question actually, because the whole issue Britishers faced while with the Indian leadership is that they were confused that when a particular action will be called as non-cooperation and when it will come under the heading of civil disobedience. Okay, what action of yours should be considered as not cooperating with the government, and what specific action should be called as disobeying the law? Okay, because at certain points it's a very wavy concept. So how you can understand this thing? The methods involved in CDM, civil disobedience movement, were a violation of law and non-cooperation with foreign rules, whereas non-cooperation witnessed no violence of law at all. Now we know it very well that non-cooperation also meant violation of law in a sense. For example, non-cooperation also included non-paymency of taxes. Okay, non-payment of taxes. Now non-payment of taxes is actually a illegal act. So it means non-cooperation also includes some of the actions which were not as per the constitution, as per the prescribed mandate of the legal provisions of the British India at the time. You will see because of this reason only Rabindranath Tagore and Muhammad Ali Jinnah didn't accepted the non-cooperation movement as the legitimate means to oppose the British government, because in a way they were constitutionalist. Okay, so you can say the first statement is wrong. Muslim participation in CDM was higher than NCM, that is Muslim participation in civil disobedience movement was higher than in non-cooperation movement. This statement is also wrong, because non-cooperation movement was happening along with the Khilafat movement, so you will see that non-cooperation had far more presence, okay, far more presence of Muslim community, far more representation of Muslim community than CDM. Okay, so the second statement is also wrong. The Congress was organizationally stronger during the civil disobedience movement. This is totally correct. This doesn't need much explanation. By the 1930s, Congress has evolved into a full-fledged electoral outfit. Okay, although they participated as electoral outfit only in 1934 election, not prior to it, but they were fully demeaned and capable of fighting election because the Swarajists were also there. So you will see the third statement is right. Okay, so only 3, that's the D, is the answer for this question. Consider the following events. Vision of Simon Commission. Purna Swaraj resolution was adopted by INC at the Lahore session. Dipawali Declaration, Lahore Conspiracy Case, the civil disobedience movement was launched. Which of the following, who was the viceroy when all these events took place? Now, Simon Commission came to India in later part of 1927 and was going around India in 1928. Purna Swaraj resolution was passed by Indian National Congress in December 1929. Lahore conspiracy case, actually the killing of Saunders happened in 1928. The civil disobedience movement was launched in 1930. Throughout this period, it was Lord Irwin who was the Viceroy of India, and he was also the one who made the October 1929, he made the famous Diwali Declaration, where he mandated again that the ultimate mandate of the British Empire in India, or British officials in India, is to follow what has been declared as August Declaration in 1917, that to form a responsible government in India. Okay, so the D option is correct again. Let's move forward. Consider the following statement regarding the Government of India Act 1935. The Act provided for the establishment of a diarchy system at the centre. This is right. Diarchy was introduced through Government of India Act 1919 for the first time, and it was introduced in the provinces. In 1935, the diarchy in the provinces was removed, autonomy was given to the provinces, and diarchy was introduced in the centre. So first statement is right. The second statement, Council of State had directly elected members from British India and nominated members from the rulers of Indian princely states. Now, you might get confused with the way the statement has been written, hoping that direct elections were not a thing even in 1935, and Council of States, surely the people who came in Council of States were elected through the Provincial Legislative Assembly, but here direct and indirect word has been used to represent that those who have been elected and those who have been nominated. So the nominated actually came from the princely state, that was the mandate was, and this whole Council of State system was given for a federal system which was expected to have formed. Although this federal system and similar, so such a Council of State was never formed, although it was mandated in Government of India Act 1935. So statement number 2 is also right. Provinces were to be governed by a directly elected representative who act on the advice of Council of Ministers. Now, provinces were to be governed by directly elected representatives. If it would have been, this statement could have been considered correct. Look, for the provincial assemblies, the elections were made directly. Direct elections were to be conducted for the provincial legislative assembly. These members were now then going to be the member of Council of Minister, and this Council of Minister was going to be have authority as a recommendatory body to the governor of the state. That was how the state was going to be governed, and not a single elected representative. So the third statement is wrong. The Act introduced direct elections in India for the first time. Now this statement is also wrong. I hope so everyone knows it very well, that the direct election officially were introduced for the first time in 1909 Indian Council Act, and in 1892, although it was not mentioned, but elections were taking place there onwards. Okay, so the fourth statement is also wrong. So the first and the second statement is right, and C is the answer. Fifth question. Consider the following statement. This act includes provision for joint sitting in the event of stalemate, and subjects are separated into 3 lists. The Governor General wielded residuary power. Provinces were given autonomy. The Indian Council of Secretary of State was abolished. And this is Government of India Act 1935. Obviously, the Indian Council of Secretary of State was abolished, and a High Commissioner instead a High Commission office was appointed in London, who was the representative of the Indian Viceroy in Britain. Okay, so that was done. This statement is C option is correct. Consider the following statements regarding Karachi session of the Congress. This was the first time Congress spelled out what Swaraj would mean for the masses. The goal of Purna Swaraj was reiterated. The resolution on the National Economic Program was adopted. So the Karachi session was a special session which was called in the last week, and the last week of March and the first week of April of 1931. Okay. Gandhi ji came here, and this Karachi session was headed or presided by Vallabhbhai Patel. Okay, you need to understand first these things. Then you need to understand that all three statements are in a way correct. This was the first time Congress spelled out what Swaraj meant for the masses, because Swaraj as a political entity, political conceptuality was explained in 1920 also. It was a bit vague back then, but in 1929 when Purna Swaraj was talked about, it actually meant total independence. But what this total independence is going to entail for the common public, that was not sure. Okay, so that was made clear here only. The goal of Purna Swaraj was reiterated. Obviously, it was done. The resolution of National Economic Program was given here only. And this National Economic Program, from here onwards, you will see that it was in the background of the 1929 onwards, the Great Depression which started. So the global depression, the Great Depression of between 1929 and 1933 also started having impact in India in 1930s. And subsequently, you will see that the Karachi session, the Congress was forced in a way to come up with certain things to highlight that what they will do on the economic front also. Okay, so you have to keep that thing in mind. So D option is correct here. All three of them are right. Which of the following statement is correct regarding the history of India? B.R. Ambedkar did not attend the third roundtable conference after a disagreement with Gandhi. This is wrong. B.R. Ambedkar was in the initial phase of his political life, and you will see that at this time he was attending almost all the meetings where he got an opportunity to make a representation for the depressed classes. So he meant Simon Commission also, and all the three roundtable conferences he was available. As per the resolution passed at Lahore session of Congress 1929, the civil disobedience movement was to be launched. Okay. Now, this statement is right in a sense, that was decided here itself. Although it was also decided that when it has to be decided, how it has to be decided, that will be left on Gandhi ji. Okay. The Congress Working Committee declared January 26, 1929 as the Purna Swaraj Day. No, the date was January 30 in 1930. Actually, the date was decided in this manner, that the last Sunday of the next month, that is what was decided in December 1929. So last Sunday of the next month, as per December 1929, was January 26, 1930. And that's why it was called Purna Swaraj Day. Okay. The Dandi March started from Udaipur, near which the Sabarmati River is. Now, this fact is actually correct, that the Sabarmati River originates near Udaipur, but this statement is wrong, that Dandi March was started from Udaipur. Dandi March was started from Sabarmati Ashram, okay, on 12th of March 1930, and it ended with Mahatma Gandhi doing the illegal act of making salt on the coastline of Dandi on 6th of April and breaking the Salt Act of 1882. So that you have to keep in mind. Okay. So this statement is also wrong. So the only right statement here is B option, and that is the answer. Okay. Next question. Which of the following institutions were established by B.R. Ambedkar? All India Scheduled Caste Federation, Independent Labour Party, Republican Party of India, the Peasants and Workers Party of India. Now, All India Scheduled Caste Federation and Independent Labour Party were made by Ambedkar himself. The other parties were also working in a way. Republican Party of India is even active in the 21st century. Okay, you will see leaders like Ramdas Athawale belongs to this party. And the Peasant and Workers Party also work for the depressed classes, but obviously it was not made or led at the time by Ambedkar. So first and 1 and 2, A option is correct. Which of the following is the reason for Gandhi undertaking a fast unto death in 1932. Breakdown of negotiation in Roundtable Conference. Communal clashes after the announcement of two-nation theory by Jinnah. Nationwide riots and violence during the civil disobedience movement. Ramsay MacDonald's announcement of communal awards. Now, understand, the very first, they are talking about 1932. Gandhiji sat on a hunger strike in the Yarwada jail, which lasted for 21 days continuously. Okay, that's the point number one you have to keep in mind. Now, breakdown of negotiations in Roundtable Conference do happen. Okay, that was the second Roundtable Conference which broke down, and then Gandhiji came back in India and restarted the civil disobedience movement, and that's why he was arrested and sent to Yarwada jail. Now, in this time, Ramsay MacDonald, the then Prime Minister of Britain, declared that if the depressed classes and the caste Hindus are not able to come to a consensus that how reservations for the legislative bodies has to be given, so then he will appoint a committee of his own to look into the issue of minorities reservation. And that committee which he formed was called as the Lothian Committee. Lothian Committee went on to give separate electorates to the depressed classes, and so in a way went on to divide the Hindu community even more. Now, Gandhiji has already known that because of the separate electorates given to the Muslim community, the Hindu and Muslim community have been divided in 1909. Now, he didn't want the same faith to occur for the Hindu community. Further division should not happen. So, he made sure that he sat on a hunger strike until Ambedkar, B.R. Ambedkar reached out to him, and they had a conversation and reached out a understanding, and based on which Pune Pact was signed between Madan Mohan Malviya, who represented the caste Hindus, and B.R. Ambedkar, who represented the depressed classes. Okay, so which of the following is the reason for Gandhi undertaking a forced unto death? Is the Ramsay MacDonald's announcement of communal award. Okay. Nationwide riot and violence during the civil disobedience movement is riots and violence do took place, but Gandhiji didn't sat on a hunger strike because of it. And two-nation theory was first propounded actually in 1930 in a way by Iqbal during the annual Muslim League session in Allahabad, but it became of importance to Jinnah only after March 1940 when the so-called Pakistan resolution was passed. Okay, so the D option is correct here. Please mark it out. Arrange the following events in chronological order. The peasant movement in Bardoli, Gandhi-Irwin Pact, the passing of the Indian Official Secret Acts, and Mahatma Gandhi founding the All India Harijan Sangh. Now, Mahatma Gandhi founded the All India Harijan Sangh in 1930s after he came out of jail after the end of civil disobedience movement in 1934 onwards. The peasant movements in Bardoli happened in 1918. Okay, 1928. That was Kheda 1918. This is 1928. Gandhi-Irwin Pact happened in 1931, March 1931, and the passing of Indian Officials Act happened in 1923. If you keep this thing in mind, you can easily make the 3, okay, then the 1, then the 4, and then the 2. Or no, the 2 and then the 4. Okay, 3, 1, 2, 4. 3, 1, 2, 4 is the B option, and that is the answer here. Fine. Consider the following statement regarding the Lahore session of Congress 1929 is passed a resolution which rejected the two-nation theory. Two-nation theory was not discussed officially yet, so no question regarding it came out. The moment you reject the first statement, okay, you have only 2 options, and therefore Congress passed a resolution demanding complete independence. This is right. It proposed the launch of civil disobedience movement in this session. Is it right or wrong? It is right. Although the decision when to be launched, how it to be launched, all those things was left on Gandhiji. So C option is right here. Consider the following statement regarding the Butler Committee. Butler Committee was formed in 1927, people who don't know for, and it was related to the center-state relation or the central princely state relations for that matter. It was set up to examine the nature of relationship between princely states and government. This is right. It recommended the state should be handed over to the Indian government in British India, responsible to an Indian legislature without the consent of state. This is wrong. If it would have been just with the consent of state, it would have been right. So this statement is wrong. Answer is A. Now one needs to understand here, this is very straightforward statement, and even in the case, suppose you don't know much detail about Butler Commission, but Butler Committee recommendation, still you will be able to find that, look, Britishers are no way going to do such a thing that without taking the princely states into consensus, they will hand over the power to any new formed government in India regarding the princely states. That wouldn't have happened, okay? And you will see, based on this recommendation only, in 1946, when the cabinet mission also came up with the plan, and subsequently the 3rd June plan also maintained the sanctity of the recommendation of the Butler Committee, and you will see it was decided that the princely states will go back to the status they were when they signed the subsidiary alliance, whether it was in 1798 or 1818 or later part of 19th century. Okay, so the A option is right here. Which of the following are associated with caste movement? Unionist Party, that was a Punjab based secular party actually, led by Sikandar Hayat Khan and Sir Chotu Ram. So surely it was not a caste-based party. Justice Party was actually taking some stances. In certain stances, the stance for the oppressed classes. Okay, I won't say depressed classes, but oppressed classes, because they were speaking on the behalf of anti-Brahmanism. Okay, self-respect movement was anyway led by E.V. Ramaswamy, Periyar, and that has to be kept in mind. Okay, so that makes that the first one is wrong, 2 and 3 are right, C statement is correct. Fine. Consider the following statement: Hindustan Republican Association or Army HRA was founded in Delhi by Ram Prasad Bismil, Jogesh Chand Chatterjee and Sachin Sanyal. Now this is correct that these people, Ram Prasad Bismil, Jogesh Chand, JC Chatterjee and Sachin Sanyal, founded HRA, Hindustan Republican Association, and many times called as Hindustan Republican Army, but it was done in Kanpur and not in Delhi. So the first statement is wrong because of that part, not the whole answer. Indian Republican Army under Surya Sen conducted the Chittagong Armory raid. This statement is right. It was done in 1930. Okay. So the B option, only 2, is correct. Okay. So these are some questions which would have given you some idea the kind of questions which are going to be asked in the actual prelims examination, which is going to be conducted on May 28th, 2023. I hope this class you have liked and enjoyed, and it would have made some sense to you. Make sure if you haven't watched the classes specific to lecture number 9 till now, please go to the Sunya IAS portal. The link is in front of you. Please go to it and watch the session. If you have any other queries, question, you can contact on the given phone number also. Okay. Thank you and have a nice day.